We learn on Daf 23 of Megillah that even a child is allowed to read from the Torah. Now, I first saw this while going to a Sephardi shul in the neighborhood a number of years ago, and they came to Torah reading, and they had this kid come up who was not yet bar mitzvah, and he did the Torah reading. And it really struck me as strange. I'd always seen, kids do it only at their bar mitzvah or older, and only having, adults reading from the Torah. And someone explained to me, like, no, like the person who comes up and says the blessing, that person has to be an adult by Jewish law, but you don't need the person reading from the Torah. And here's the evidence on this stuff. And I thought, wasn't that a really fascinating thing? And it seems like, I can stop and think about it, like the person who is reading, none of us have an individual obligation to read from the Torah. It's a communal obligation. So normally we say that someone who doesn't have an obligation on them can't dispense for somebody else who has the obligation on them. But in this case, none of us really are obligated to read from the Torah. All we really want is somebody who's able to read competently from the Torah. So even if that person is a child and not yet required to follow mitzvot, that person can read from the Torah.